to a very special episode of the Let's Get Vulnerable podcast. We have a wonderful guest with us, a former client and now coach inside of the E.S.L program. We have Miss Dalma Avalos. Welcome, Dalma. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Morgan. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited for this.
I am excited to just have you share about your journey and the transformation that you've experienced in your life. I do want to share just a little bit about you, and then I'd love to just dive into your story. But here's just a little bit about Dalma. So she completed the E.S.L program, and she has successfully transformed into a confident and securely attached woman. She let
Yes,
go of past anxiously attached thought patterns and behaviors and has fully embraced her identity as an empowered, secure, and loved woman. Most importantly, Dalma did the work to heal the relationship with herself and is living a happy, balanced life. And she's excited to give back to the women inside of the E.S.L program. She gets to offer other women going through the program support on their journey. So I know all of you listening today are going to get massive value out of this interview with her. She has so much wonderful experience to share. And I'm just excited to talk with you about your personal journey.
thank you so much for that introduction, Morgan. Oh man, so when I think about when I first started, Morgan, I don't know if I've ever told you this, but I was literally right next to my ex applying for the program.
Wow. When
I
you
remember,
applied, wow.
yes, I was in the car just feeling like enough was enough. I needed to do something to change my life. I was so tired of repeating these negative behaviors and letting avoidant men in my life, right? And I had to do something. And I found you and I saw the application and I remember feeling so scared because I didn't want him to see my phone or what I was doing. But yeah, I applied and it literally has changed my life since then.
Wow. So just think of the bravery that that took with your, yeah, the guy that you had it was kind of off and on, right? Like it was,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it was okay, but then the majority of the time you knew that you wanted out and you were in the car next to him applying to the
Yes.
program, and you just knew that you were ready to leave that relationship.
Yeah, I knew that there was something going on that wasn't, um, no progress was going in our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that I didn't want to be in that relationship anymore. I just didn't know how to stand up for myself, speak my truth, without any fear of abandonment, right? I was just scared of being alone during that time. And so I just stayed in the relationship. For me, I was just used to being in that dynamic and that anxious and avoidant dynamic that we talked about before. And
Yes.
that's what I knew best, and that's why I would stay in those types of relationships. So finishing the program, I had a lot of breakthroughs, and I realized I had no boundaries. I didn't know how to communicate effectively. I i want to say this, I don't think I knew what loving myself truly meant. I
Mm.
thought it was getting my nails done and, eating well and all those kind of like easy self-care things. But self-care now, what I have realized, means doing this work, putting myself first, loving myself in a way that it's in within me, right? Like internally, showing up with joy and actually feeling that joy for myself, being surrounded by my people, my family, my friends. And that for me is the true self-care. And that true love that I have for myself is really being at my best and showing up as my secure self as much as I can.
I love that so much. And I want to point something out too, just sharing with the audience that you actually went through the program in January of 2019.
Yeah.
And you have maintained this transformation and grown kind of exponentially
Mm-hmm.
over this time.
Oh, yes. I don't even recognize that version of myself in of that past
Yeah.
time where I was so anxiously attached, Morgan. Like it was.
I want to, I loved, so before the interview, we were talking and Dalma was saying, like, gosh, I just don't even remember that version of me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I love so much about this program is really that you can completely leave that past version of yourself behind, and it can become a
Mm-hmm.
distant memory of, well, hey, that's how I used to be. And now you're
Yeah.
having to consciously think like, hey, what was I like? Like what was it like back then? But yeah, tell us, how did you feel? Like, what was your energy like? How did you feel about
Mm-hmm.
yourself? How did you feel in dating? Like,
Yeah.
what were the emotions? Can you remember?
Yeah. When I do think about that, I was always nervous, um, low energy. Even if I, was eating well or working out, my energy was just not positive, you know. I was in such a negative state of mind all the time. I remember my roommate telling me, I just knew that there was something going on with you because all you would do is lay in the couch like all evening after work. And, she also helped me a lot through that time because I just, very depressed too. I was just very depressed and
Mm-hmm.
just very sad and,
Kind of hopeless in a way of like,
mm-hmm.
is there any other way to be?
Yeah, I definitely felt hopeless. I definitely felt unlovable too. I,
Mm-hmm.
thought that this was normal to feel this way all the time because that's just what I knew, right? And it was just a very difficult time during that time. I just didn't know any better.
One thing that stood out to me about our work, and I remember every client I work with, so I can vividly
Yeah.
remember our sessions and what we
Oh
talked about.
gosh.
And one of the things that stood out to me, Dalma, was just the guilt that you had and your lack of self-compassion towards
Mm-hmm.
yourself for behaviors that were happening because of how your partner was treating you.
Mm-hmm.
So, like the anxious attachment strategies, or um, feeling pulled to try to check on like his phone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or like
Oh yeah.
to do those things that it was like your attachment survival behaviors were happening and you were very
Mm-hmm.
anxiously attached. And then instead of having compassion, you would be so hard on yourself for those
Yeah.
behaviors. I vividly
Oh
remember
yes.
that.
Yeah, when I hear you mention those things, yes, I remember feeling so guilty for acting a certain way in response to my partner, like when I went through his phone and just, a lot of lack of trust was there, right? And I would blame myself and I would blame myself for doing those things and saying, like, oh, I'm the one at fault for doing that. But in reality, it was me trying to like find a reason to leave, but I just didn't know how to.
Mm-hmm. And those, I think, is so important to understand that those behaviors were the symptom of not having secure attachment, of not having trust. Like
Mm-hmm.
those behaviors don't just come out of nowhere. It's not because, oh, she's crazy, quote unquote, like guys will say. It's like, no, there was no secure attachment, there was no trust,
Mm-hmm.
so of course those behaviors are coming up for you. They're
Yeah.
relationship survival behaviors, right? So
Mm-hmm.
um but obviously we could say you're on the other side of that now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I think, just tell me a little bit about how the relationship with yourself changed.
Mm-hmm. You know, once I started to set my boundaries, that really changed a lot of the way that I saw myself. the beliefs that I had about myself in a relationship, the beliefs that I had about myself, just about myself in general, right? The way that I talk to myself, that self-talk, right? That can really bring you to a low if you don't have that positive self-talk, right? And so I remember all of those post-it notes that I had to write for myself, and I had to just believe it. Even though I didn't feel it every single time, I felt like doing this work and reminding myself of who I want to be, right? I remember asking myself every time I felt anxious or, you know, I was, facing a challenge in the relationship, and through the program, I would say, what would the secure Dalma do right now? So taking that step back and that self-awareness, especially, really changed a lot of the way that I saw myself. I started paying attention to my body, how I was feeling, how my emotions were coming up, and that thought pattern, right? And so I just became more self-aware, and I decided to choose me, and I decided to prioritize myself and say no to the things that didn't serve me. And I didn't know what that looked like before, right? And so it was scary at first, but I remember you mentioned the more you do it, the easier it will become, and more automatically you will show up as more secure the more that you try. And so my relationship with myself is so much better. I understand myself. I trust my gut a lot more. And I
Yes.
just feel like I'm able to pay attention to my intuition more now too.
You developed self-trust, which was something that even in your own family system, right? Or just in
Mm-hmm.
any relationships, you hadn't developed self-trust yet.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That's so so important.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say I loved watching your transformation, and I remember just being able to very clearly see shifts in your energy,
Mm-hmm.
and just it's like that, like being able to notice like wow, she's glowing, like she's
Oh, yes.
so just like love is like radiating off of you
Yeah.
from before being so down and so,
Mm-hmm.
stuck, to then this person who's so so loving and just being able to radiate positive energy. It was like it was this huge transformation to witness.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, Maureen, because it really was. And I still feel it now.
Yes.
I still have this a lot of
Yes, you do.
self-compassion for myself, and that just is able to transmit, to everybody in my life, all this love that I'm giving to myself first, right? Filling up my own cup first, and then it becomes an overflow of love. And I truly do feel it, and I truly do see it with not just with my partner, but with my friends, my family, even coworkers, the way that I am every single day and showing up every single day. It's just a huge transformation.
Yes. And people definitely have noticed that in you and told you.
Yeah.
I know I'm not the only one. Like everybody in my
Yeah.
life noticed it
Yes.
as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Tell us a little bit about dating after doing the work and
Mm-hmm.
then kind of building a relationship. Like how is it different now compared to how it used to be in the past?
Yes. So after the program, I wasn't in a relationship anymore, and I did start dating. And I remember feeling, obviously those anxious tendencies will still want to come up, right? But I was so good at catching myself when those moments came or those thought patterns came.
Mm-hmm.
And before I was, waiting around for that text or for that phone call, or, when am I going to see him again? And preoccupied with, I don't even know,
Mm-hmm.
what do you call that? Like just,
Yeah, it's anxious, preoccupied
yes.
attachment. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
seeking reassurance very
Mm-hmm.
frequently.
Yes,
Yeah.
for
Mm-hmm.
sure. So that was, I still had that, right? And so the more I got better at, like I was saying, putting myself first and always doing those activities that brought me a lot of joy and made me feel a lot of passion, right? Once I started doing those things every day, dating was easier because I didn't have to worry about when was I going to see somebody, because I already had something that I wanted to do for myself. And if it could work out, then it would work out and we would have a date or whatnot. But I wasn't so worried about the text or the phone call anymore. And, what am I going to text in a way that I'll get a response? It was just like, this is me. This is my availability. Let me know if you are free. If not, it doesn't matter because I had me and, I come first. And yeah, it was just
You're out there
easier.
roller skating, just
Oh,
living
yeah.
your best life. I remember seeing that on your Instagram story. Like, she's
Yes.
just having fun.
Yeah. And actually, that was one of the things that, roller skating became such in a way, a therapeutic moment for me because I remember feeling like so free and so like in love with life, right? Every time I did it. And I would do it almost every single day for an hour and just learning to reinvest in myself, just brought so much more security and confidence within myself. And then, when I least knew it, I met my partner who I'm with right now, who I can say is the love of my life right now,
Oh, I'm
and we
so
have
happy for you.
yeah, thank you. We have co-created this loving and secure relationship. And so invested in myself back in January 2019, I had to trust myself and I had to just do this and the rewards and just my life now and everything that I have changed and just being more secure with myself and being able to model that with my partner, right? Being that secure Dalma now is just, I'm just so happy and I feel so blessed and grateful to be able to do this.
I'm so happy for you.
Thank
And
you.
one thing I love about you and women like you who do the program is just that willingness to really
Mm-hmm.
do the work. I think it was clear that it wasn't the easiest thing for you to make the investment in the program and to prioritize it. Like you could have
Mm-hmm.
had you're a school teacher,
Mm-hmm.
like had so much on your plate and you could have easily said like I don't have time for this or I can't afford it, but
Mm-hmm.
you prioritized it, you showed up, you invested, you did the
Mm-hmm.
work, and then look at the outcomes.
Yeah. Yes, I invested in myself, right? It was just, I just knew I had to do it and I didn't want to put any more excuses, right? And so, and
Mm-hmm.
I knew that doing this program and, saving up every week, right? It was going to be for me. And that was, the first decision that I made to put back into myself. And so I definitely do not regret anything. And I remember one of our calls was on Valentine's Day and I was so happy and I was just like, are you free? And you were like, yes, I'm free, and we just did it, right? And I remember feeling just, you know so happy with myself and so in love at that time with myself, right? And we
Yes.
had such an amazing call. Yes, I remember crying in almost every every call with you, but it was so good though, and just releasing those negative beliefs about myself and
Yes.
showing up for the calls. That was me choosing myself every single week and showing up and doing this work with you, right?
I love it. I love it so much. Yeah, you are a wonderful example of hey, when you show up, when you invest in yourself, when you commit to doing the work
Mm-hmm.
and you're not afraid to get vulnerable, you're not afraid to be honest with yourself, that you can completely change your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember some moments. It was scary to be so vulnerable with you, but we had such a great, you know, relationship where I felt safe. It was the first time that I felt safe, that I felt like I can be honest with, those, I don't want to say like dirty things that I felt about myself, but that negativity that I saw about myself, right? I never said those things to anybody. And so being
Mm-hmm.
able to just put it out there and let it go and release that, and you know,
Yes.
choosing myself was really what changed a lot for me.
So powerful to say things out loud and to share it with someone else. It really sets us free from those
Mm-hmm.
things. It helps us completely let go of them. So
Mm-hmm.
you're so right. Like the willingness to be completely honest with me, completely honest with yourself. Like that's part of why you've been so successful.
Mm-hmm.
I have a
Yeah.
random
It was,
question for
yeah.
I wanted to ask this earlier, but I'm curious about, so you're with your partner now. Can you tell
Mm-hmm.
me specifically how your communication has changed as compared
Mm-hmm.
to the past?
Yeah, in the past, Morgan, I would not say anything.
It's like there
And
was
if
no
there
communication.
was no communication. And if I tried, I always felt in the wrong. I always felt that it was wrong for me to say how I felt at the moment
Mm-hmm.
because of the reactions of my partner at the time, right?
Mm,
And so now when I got vulnerable with my partner now, because his reaction was so secure and welcoming, and I felt safe to express myself, it just got easier, right? And so using those I feel statements and, setting those boundaries in an effective way and letting go. I think now I'm so much better at letting go of that fear of abandonment or that risk that I'm taking with expressing myself and not being scared of, being alone. That's that was
mm.
huge. That's huge for me.
This is so powerful because I think you're such a powerful example to people of, hey, you may have never even learned how to express yourself in the past. You may have never been able to set a boundary before in your life,
Mm-hmm.
and you can learn how to do it and you can have a totally different relationship.
Oh yes.
And then the safety and the freedom that you feel in a relationship, once you can do that, it allows you to become so much closer and so much more emotionally invested with your partner
Mm-hmm.
because it feels safe to do so.
Yeah, exactly.
I was so excited for you.
Yeah,
Like,
you know,
so good.
yeah, like this is so powerful because you have mentioned before, we're literally breaking patterns that, we're so used to. And doing this work, we're rewiring our brain, you know,
Yes.
and we're forever changing this mindset that we have. And so we're breaking these patterns, and our behavior is going to change. And yes, it does take the work, and not every single day is the same.
Right.
And so that's why having that compassion for yourself and realizing that this journey is a lifelong journey, but every day gets better. We have a new day, new decisions to make, and
Yes.
so eventually, right, the reactions or the way that we react in certain situations will become more secure because we're going to get better at being that secure version of ourselves every day.
I love it.
It like gives me goosebumps just thinking about all this powerful stuff.
Yes, it is so powerful. And I keep thinking about how grateful I am that, you, after doing this work, that we have stayed in touch and that you felt so much transformation of your own that you wanted to help other women who are going through this. And
Yeah.
you kind of came to me and said, hey, like, how can I help you? And then now we have you as one of the coaches inside of the program, and you get to
Yes.
coach women and support them on the journey that you have completed yourself, right? And the
Yeah.
beautiful thing about this is knowing that, even though I've done all this work, you've done all this work, we're all in it together because it is that lifelong commitment
Mm-hmm.
to growing and healing. But I think women who join the program, it's just so helpful for them to have people like myself and like you who are just a little bit farther along on the journey, and then they can look to it and say, okay, it is possible for me too, like it is
Mm-hmm.
available to me. So I love that you're helping the team out now and helping support women.
I love it too, Morgan. I love being able to give examples of, things that I used to do and how I'm different now, right? And how I have changed. And I love communicating in the group. That support of the ladies in the group is just phenomenal. Everybody's, like you said, it's a lifelong commitment. Everybody's there. Everyone is vulnerable in that group too.
It's
And
a community of women. And when you
yes.
back in the day, I will shout out Dalma. She was one of the first women who I coached inside of
Mm-hmm,
the ESL program. And back in the day, we didn't have that group. And now we have this group as an addition to the one on one work that you still get to
mm-hmm,
do. But now you also get this group experience of, hey, there's women just like me going through
mm-hmm.
this.
Yeah, and I feel like this program has obviously changed since I first started, but these group calls are amazing. Every single week we have another
Yes.
opportunity to be a part of this community together. And just the support that's there through this journey, it is lifelong, right? And there's always going to be something that you can go back to, the modules. Oh my God, talk about the program, the foundational like module with the morning alignment, right? Like that is huge. I always want to tell everybody that that was my favorite part of the program. Just writing that morning alignment and reading it to myself every single day was huge.
Yeah. You really, when I see people who really love that exercise, and it's the majority of the women in the program, but it's clear that it's just so empowering. It's so
Mm-hmm.
life-changing to go through that. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. And yeah, the first two parts, there's four parts total, but the first two parts of the ESL program
Mm-hmm.
really are just life altering, and they really are experiential pieces of work that you can just revisit anytime you
Mm-hmm.
need to.
Yeah, it's like that deep work that everybody talks about, right? You do the
Yeah,
relationship inventory, you set your boundaries, you go through your non-negotiables,
the
right? And then
beliefs,
the
all of it.
beliefs, yes, the
Yeah,
beliefs about yourself. It's yeah,
because I think
it's
like in
amazing.
our current wellness culture, and on Instagram you'll always see people talk about do the work in quotes, and
Yeah.
nobody really knows like what is do the work. Well, this is what it is. It's the deep work. It's the rewiring your belief
Mm-hmm.
system.
Yeah.
It's yeah. And Dalma, what would you say to a woman who has been on the fence about joining the program? They're like, "Oh, it sounds good. I know I should do it, but I'm not sure." What would you say to them?
I would say to do it, girl. That investing in yourself is the number one thing that we need to start doing, right? A lot of us are not used to putting ourselves first, and investing in this program is one step of getting better at that. And really take the time to think, what does that secure version of yourself look like? And I truly believe that doing this program and really focusing on yourself and prioritizing yourself can be so transformative. And it's such a amazing program that can really change your life. And I am a true testament of that. And so I would say to do it, take that leap and invest in yourself.
I love it. And I love just hearing about your journey and seeing you now. And I knew early on in our work together that you would completely transform your life. And it's so great to get to watch you do that, cuz sometimes we don't always get to see our clients in the long term. It's kind of like you read a
Mm-hmm.
couple chapters of a book and then you just never know what happens. But I love that we've had this long-term relationship, and I just get to see you shine and blossom and, step into a great relationship.
Yeah.
And just all the relationships in your life. When I hear you talk about, friendships, family, work relationships, you have grown so much.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And this is the version of myself that I love, and I'm getting better at it every single day. And that's why I believe in this work, because it really does, something just clicks when you do this program. And it's almost like I woke up and I was just like, okay, this is what it means to do this work. And this is the work that's going to
Mm.
take to really get to that, you know, version of myself that I know I can be and that I deserve to be and that I'm
Yes.
worth it. Because
That's
I
so
didn't feel
key.
that. Yes.
It's key that you were able to take the leap to commit to it before fully feeling like you deserved it. Like deep down, you
Mm-hmm.
knew that you did, but before even having that high self worth that you do now, you knew that, hey, I have to do this in order to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think sometimes if we make decisions off of the current version of ourselves, we hold ourselves back. But if we can make decisions keeping in mind the version of ourselves that we know we
Mm-hmm.
deserve to be, that highest self, we make much better decisions. And that's exactly what you did.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dalma, is there any advice you would give, and just in general, maybe a woman out there who's listening in the audience who was kind of in that same place as you, where they were back and forth, trying to leave a relationship and not really able to, like really
Yeah.
struggling? What's just like one piece of advice you would give them?
I would say to reach out. You know, there is all the Instagrams that we can look at, but reach out to that one person, in the ESL program that can connect you with the other women or can connect you to a podcast that can really help you. Reach out to someone here in the ESL program.
Mm,
And there's so much content out there that you have created, Morgan,
yeah.
that even if you don't join the program, there's something that can help you right out there. And hopefully at the end you do decide to join the program, but there is so much out there that can help you through all the content that you have created. So I would
I
say to
love
reach out.
that. I love that because it's this reminder of you don't have to suffer alone.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many women out there who have gone through what you're currently going through, who want to help you get through it. So don't stay alone. Like, you definitely reach out for support. And
Mm-hmm.
you're right, we have so much content. There's probably a podcast episode for just about everything.
Yeah.
So the best way to do this, actually, if you are just wanting to get connected to us or find content, just join the Successful Women Great Relationships Facebook group. It's a very active group, women in there sharing their stories, supporting one another. And then Coach Dalma is in there, and we also have
Mm-hmm.
Amy, our ESL program advisor, and they're giving resources to people and making sure that they get support that they need. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a great point. Well, I just want to say it has been such a pleasure to revisit your journey, and it just makes me so proud of you and all the work that you've done, and just so happy for where you're at. So thank you for sharing your journey and willing to be vulnerable. I know you probably inspired somebody listening today.
I hope so too, and I want to thank you too, Morgan, for believing in me and coaching me through this and seeing that version of myself that I just didn't see at that time, but I knew that I wanted to be, right? And so just thank you. And, you know, this work is transformational and it is difficult, but it is so worth it. And so just thank you so much, Morgan.
You are so welcome. And to everybody listening, if you want to connect, once again, the best way is just that Successful Women Great Relationships Facebook group. And if you want to connect with Dalma specifically, um, your name is just Dalma Avalos on
Mm-hmm.
Facebook.
Yep.
And there's a picture of her with a horse. It's very cute. And I guess if they wanted to email you, Dalma, let's say they're more email person,
Mm-hmm.
what email address would they use?
Yeah, Coach Dalma at drmorgancoaching.com.
I love it. So just Coach Dalma, Dalma, at drmorgancoaching.com. So feel free to shoot her an email or find her on Facebook if you want to ask her about her experience or have any questions for her. I know she loves to help other women. So reach out if you have
Yes,
questions.
we're all here for you.
We are. And if this did speak to you and you're wanting to join the ESL program, this is an awesome time to join. We have some specials towards the end of the year that will not be happening as we go into 2022. So I would highly recommend that you join now. The application is in my Instagram bio. Um, you can just click the link. It says apply now.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thank you again, Dalma. It was so great to have you. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And everybody listening, of course, you know I'm wishing you high self worth and great relationships. We'll talk to you soon.